everyone, and welcome back to episode 74 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And I am wearing my Chaos shirt again today because I basically have wanted to live in it the last 2 weekends. I have not, but I've wanted to because our baseball team is on a tear. I am recording this on Monday afternoon. June the 8th, Oklahoma baseball has punched their ticket to the College World Series in Omaha and will play this coming Saturday afternoon, Alabama at 2 p.m. Central. And I am pumped. And we will get to that more here briefly. Not a lot going on in the world of Sooner sports right now, but I do have a few updates on some football headlines, softball, of course, baseball, track and field, and a few other things. And also my amazing conversation with Travis Davidson as we recap the baseball season, talk about that regional win in Atlanta last weekend, and talk about supers. Cannot wait for you guys to hear this conversation. But before we get there, let's thank our show sponsors. Marvin's Place, a fine art gallery and listening room located in the Depot District in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Come experience amazing artwork, and on Friday nights, visit the Listening Room, an intimate and unplugged venue. We host singer and songwriters on Friday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Relax with a glass of wine or craft beer and enjoy some wonderful music. You can find out more, including links to all of their social media, music calendar, and all artwork and jewelry available at the gallery on their website at marvinsplace.gallery. Also, thank you to Therapy to Go in Ardmore for sponsoring the show, the funnest place in town to drive through for a drink, and you don't even have to get out of your car. They have a large variety of spirits as well as fountain drinks and snacks, and you can find them on Facebook and Instagram at Therapy to Go. Okay, where I will be this week, quick update. The OKC Spark season has started. When this episode drops on Wednesday the 10th, I will have gone the previous night before on the 9th to the Spark home opener, but they have more home games coming up. So I hope that you will get out and support our former Sooners who are on that team, as well as everyone involved in the Sparks organization. Hope that you will get out and support them. I will be making a couple of appearances this summer at several games, so I will be sure and update you guys as those come up. Just to remind you who are playing on the Spark team, we have former Sooners Kinsey Hansen, Haley Lee, and Sid Romero is coming back to Oklahoma. And also we have Oklahoma native from Moore, Oklahoma, who attended college at Florida State, Sid Sherrill. A lot of people recognize her name as well. Also, former Sooners coming to Oklahoma City this summer that are playing for other teams in the AU League. We have Sam Landry, Jada Coleman, and Kelly Maxwell on the Cascade, Alyssa Brito on the Blaze, Jocelyn Allo and Elena Agbayani on the Bandits, and Tiare Jennings and Riley Boone on the Volts. I hope I did not miss anyone, but those are all of the Sooners that you can catch in Oklahoma City this summer. So I hope you'll check out their website, their social media, check out their schedule, grab some tickets, get out and see our girls. Also, just a reminder, Abby Dayton was also drafted to play in the Professional Softball League, which is a different league than the AU with the Florida vibe. I'm not super familiar with where they play, but did want to mention her as well. Also, I am going to be in Omaha this weekend, and I could not be more excited. So if you're going to be in Omaha this weekend to watch the Sooners play Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. in Game 3 of the College World Series against Bama, hit me up. I will be in section 129 on Saturday. So funny story here. My husband and I obviously love to attend sporting events. We like to make our rounds, go to NFL games, go to postseason. We regularly attend March Madness each year. Sometimes we've gotten lucky and gotten to go see our own teams. Other times we just like to go and enjoy the game, enjoy the sport. And that's kind of what we were planning on doing this year with the College World Series. We've never been to Omaha. We just decided last year, hey, we're tired of having FOMO every June. Let's just plan a trip and plan to go next summer. So I booked hotel rooms in Omaha back in the fall, and I picked up tickets to games 1 and 2 on Friday and games 3 and 4 on Saturday this coming weekend. Picked those up a few months ago. So, of course, was hoping to get to see my Sooners, and my husband hoping to get to see his Pokes, which he is not. But I could not be more excited to see our Sooners in Omaha. And again, we'll talk more about that here briefly on the baseball segment. But if you are planning to be in Omaha this weekend, please give me a shout on Twitter or on social media at Sooner Girl Pod, and I would love to say hello. Again, I'll be in section 129 on Saturday. Okay, on to this week's Sooner headlines of the week. As this episode drops on Wednesday, June the 10th, we will be 87 days from kickoff, and I cannot wait for football season. In my conversation with Travis today, we do talk a little bit about football and some of our thoughts on the upcoming season. So we'll begin switching gears here to the fall sports and football here in August, September. So lots to look forward to for sure. 87 days again to kick off if you're listening to this on the day the episode drops. Also, some sad news to report from the men's basketball front as former Sooner Stacey King passed away just this past weekend. It was announced by the Chicago Bulls organization. Stacey is one of 6 former Sooners with a retired jersey that hangs in the Lloyd Noble Center. He is a native of Lawton, Oklahoma. He played at OU for 4 seasons. He was named Big 8 Player of the Year as well as the Consensus All-American in 1989. His number 33, again, is retired by OU and hangs in the rafters of the LNC. He was drafted by the Chicago Bulls with the number 6 overall pick in 1989 NBA draft. He would go on to win 3 NBA championships with the franchise. So condolences to the family and friends of Stacey King, a Sooner legend. Just truly heartbreaking news this past weekend. On the women's basketball front, some fantastic news for our girl, Sahara Williams, who has been competing with Team USA in the FIBA 3x3 World Cup. And they won gold this past weekend, and they are world champions, hoisting their trophy and their gold medals. So proud of that team. And our girl Sahara. On to men's gymnastics. Excited to announce that Kelton Christensen, our former Sooner, has been named the newest addition to the coaching team of South Lake Gymnastics. He graduated as co-captain of OU men's gymnastics and finished off his collegiate career by winning the 2026 national champion title on high bar with an outstanding final routine. That South Lake coaching staff now includes 6 Sooner alumni, each bringing a wealth of experience, expertise, and a passion for the sport. So congratulations to Kelton on his new job at South Lake Gymnastics, and best of luck to him and all of the former Sooners on that staff. Softball portal opened today as I'm recording this on Monday, June the 8th, and it is open for the next 2 weeks. Now, as I've previously mentioned on the podcast the last couple of weeks, we have so far had 3 Sooners announce their intention to go into the portal. Tia Malloy and the Zakay sisters, Riley and Berkeley. As I'm recording this, again, it's 4:30 afternoon on Monday the 8th. I just checked Twitter before I hit record. We haven't had any other additional entries into the portal as of now. But again, I will be posting any updates regarding that on social media going forward. We have had a few Sooners, Nelly, Kai Miner, Kendall Wells, I do believe some others, I apologize if I'm leaving anyone out, who have made posts implying their intentions to stay. So that's always good news, of course. But Patty did make some comments regarding the portal, and she just said that she, of course, plans to, quote, get in there and look around, take a look, see what's available. She said that we don't need much on the roster with who is staying and the class that we have coming in. So that, again, is fantastic news. But, of course, it never hurts to take a look and see what's going on in there, who we might need to grab. But again, as of right now, just those 3 Sooners outgoing, and we wish them all the best on their next chapters and excited to see who our new Sooners will be on the diamond next spring. Track and field, just a reminder, the national championship is this coming week in Eugene, Oregon, June 10th through the 13th. And those Sooners, there are 8 of them who qualified to travel out to Eugene who will be competing. And again, I'll be updating this on social media as they compete this Wednesday through Saturday, so be sure and check social media for updates. And again, I'll update you on the show. But we do have those 8 Sooners traveling out to Eugene: Kennedy Stringfellow, long jump, Kennedy Clark, hammer throw, Colton Rhodes, pole vault, Domtila Cheruto in the 10,000 meter and the 5,000 meter, Kyron Washington, high jump, Ralford Mullings, who's the reigning national champ in discus. Fingers crossed he gets 2 in a row. BJ Green, triple jump, and Chesney Scott with the discus. So best of luck to those Sooners as they travel out to Eugene this week and compete for a national championship. Shout out to our golfer, Jace Summy, as he finished number 3 in the PGA Tour University rankings, giving Oklahoma a nation-leading 9 PGA Tour all-time graduates. So shout out to Jace for that. Okay, I saved the best for last. Let's go back and talk about our baseball team and punching their ticket to the College World Series in Omaha this coming weekend. There is open practice on Thursday, and games 1 and 2 on Friday, games 3 and 4 on Saturday. Again, the Sooners are game 3 on Saturday, so we have that 2 o'clock in the afternoon. First pitch, gonna be hot, so send your cool vibes my way as I'll be cheering on our Sooners in Omaha. But let's back up and talk about a few accolades that were received after the regional tournament last weekend in Atlanta. Oklahoma right-handed pitcher LJ Mercurius, catcher Dayton LaChance, and shortstop Jackson Willits were named to the all-tournament team in the Atlanta Regional. Also, Dayton LaChance was named the tournament's most outstanding player. Also, as Travis Davidson tweeted out about these guys individually regarding those accolades, he said all three guys have very unique stories. LJ was one of the hottest pitchers to start the year. He dealt with some real struggles, but he came through clutch when it was needed. Dayton LaChance brought in for the power. He had 30 plus games in the season that he didn't have not one home run, and then now he has exploded into a home run machine, which did continue into supers this past weekend, which we'll talk about here briefly. And then Jackson Willits, of course, he became a dad mid-season after getting married about a year or so ago. Just great guys on our baseball team that have really peaked at the right time. It's just very, very exciting for them. So game 1 of supers in Lawrence, Kansas, as we play the Kansas Jayhawks. They are the Big 12 champs for regular season and postseason from the tournament. Of course, won their regional that they hosted last weekend. That was the first time that they had ever hosted a regional in Lawrence. They were on top of the world and I guess got maybe a little bit too big for their britches. But game 1 on Saturday, 8-1 win. On Saturday night for the Sooners, Dayton Taki, Camden Johnson, and Trey Gamble each had a home run. Cord Rager, holy smokes, that guy, freshman pitcher, comes out to the mound and gets the job done. 6 innings pitched, 6 Ks. LJ Mercurius holds Kansas also to only 4 hits in that game 1 win. And I think the Sooners, after getting that game 1 win in Lawrence, had to have been on a high for sure. Going into Sunday for game 2, again, another 5 o'clock start time on that Sunday. Unfortunately, we only played 2.5 innings, 3 innings, and had a rain delay. The game was pushed over into Monday for a noon first pitch. Just an incredible, incredible game. We closed out that win 13-2 over Kansas. Just demolished the Jayhawks. Again, Mercurius, 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 ER, and 6 Ks. Dayton LaChance was 2 for 5 at the plate with a home run and 4 RBIs. Harris was 2 for 5, a home run and 3 RBIs. And our catcher slash left fielder, Brendan Brock, who I did have on the show earlier this spring, is batting a 500 in the postseason. That's per Toby Rowland on the radio broadcast during this final game of supers. Just truly, truly incredible. Also want to give a shout out, a round of applause for our pitcher, Nate Smithberg, who hits the mound in relief. 3.2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 run, and 2 Ks. Just another Sooner reminder for the Jayhawks to stick to basketball, as Baker Mayfield would say. If you know that incident of him on the sideline where he got in trouble for grabbing his crotch, he was yelling to the crowd to stick to basketball. Well, they should take his word for sure. But for the second time in 5 years, OU baseball is headed to Omaha as we clinch that 13-2 win in game 2 of the Supers. Just truly incredible that we were to take game 2 from them in their own field. After them having an entire night to regroup, honestly, they had every chance in the world to regain that momentum back from the Sooners, and they did not do it. Swept our way through that Lawrence Super Regional, and we outscored the Jayhawks 21-3. Very impressive turnaround for a team that lost the last 4 series in regular season SEC play. George Stoya on Twitter after the game said, quote, "A tip of the cap to Skip Johnson. He has built OU baseball into a real contender. He's made the NCAA tournament each of the last 5 seasons and has now made the College World Series twice in that same time span." So again, a lot of people questioned if OU baseball was ready for the SEC, and Skip has made sure that it was. Oklahoma becomes the 5th SEC team to make the College World Series. Truly incredible. That was the max amount of number of teams that the SEC could make into the tournament. We had 7 teams make it to, but 2 of them played each other. So just a shout out to Skip. All of his coaching staff and the baseball team went on the road to beat the ACC champ and the Big 12 champ on the road in their own home stadiums. to punch that ticket to the College World Series. Just truly a remarkable bounce back and close out to the regional and super regional weekends for the Sooners, especially after the roller coaster of a season that they have had. So just a reminder, I will be in section 129 on Saturday, 2 o'clock first pitch for the OU game. And then after the OU game against Bama on Saturday afternoon is Georgia and Texas. Kyle Branch's brother, I believe his name is Colby, plays for Georgia. So, of course, Sooners, anytime we get a chance to do Horns Down, we're going to do it. So be sure you stick around on Saturday night if you're coming up to Omaha and throw some Horns Down with me as we root for Kyle Branch's brother, Colby, and the Georgia Bulldogs in the College World Series. Now, I just saw a bracket release right before I recorded, so I wanted to give a quick rundown as we are falling in the bottom bracket of the College World Series. Again, game 1 for the Sooners will be game 3 of the College World Series Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. ESPN against Bama. If we win that game, we will play on Monday, June the 15th at 6 p.m. If we win that game, we will play Wednesday the 17th at 6 p.m. Now, again, the College World Series is a double elimination tournament. So fantastic news for the Sooners. We would have to get beat twice in order to get sent back to Norman. So here's hoping that does not happen. Now, unfortunately, I have to come home after this coming weekend. I won't be there past that, but I will get to see all 8 teams play on Friday and Saturday with those 4 games and get to see the Sooners play Alabama, and I'm so pumped about it. I have been to several baseball games this season. I actually attended the season opener at Globe Life Valentine's weekend. OSU was down there as well. My husband and I spent our anniversary / Valentine's Day there, and just I really got pumped up for the season after watching those guys sweep through those teams at Globe Life so early in the season. And then I think after we swept Dallas Baptist this season, it also gave us a lot of hope that we could possibly do well in the postseason. And again, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster since then, up and down, but the guys are hot at the right time. I cannot give enough praise. Again, Brendan Brock hitting 500 in the postseason. Dayton Talkie completely on fire, hitting those bombs. Dayton LaChance, Big Maple. Thanks, Canada, for sending him to us. I just truly can't say enough for all of these guys and all the pitchers on the mound. And I'm so excited to cheer them on in Omaha this weekend, and stay tuned next week for an update of my trip. Okay, to end this segment with a Sooner fun fact of the week. The Sooners have now made 12 total appearances in Omaha and are one of only 13 nationwide to capture multiple NCAA national championships in baseball, winning their second in 1994. So again, thanks you guys so much for supporting. I hope that you share this episode, especially if you have a baseball fan in your life. Please send this episode their way. Go give me a follow on all social media at Sooner Girl Pod. Go grab you some merch, soonergirl.bigcartel.com. Ladies, we are having our June online huddle here in just a couple of weeks, and you're not going to want to miss out. You can go to my Substack and join the locker room and join our private chat. You get a discount on merch. I do giveaways. All kinds of fun stuff. So ladies, you won't want to miss out on that. Just a reminder, if you're going to be in Omaha this weekend, give me a shout at Sooner Girl Pod on social media. I would love to see you there. Go check out my link tree. It's my link in bio on all of my social media platforms. Everything that I've mentioned, you can find there. It's all linked there. If you ever have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. I would love to meet you and help you out. So on to my chat with my guy, Travis Davidson. Just truly incredible to get to chat with him about some Sooner sports. I approached him at a baseball game last spring after I had met him in Oxford, Mississippi the fall before. And he was so kind to give me time and share his time to come on to the podcast. So due to some scheduling conflicts on my end, I knew I wouldn't have any time to record after our super regionals as I'm getting ready to head to Omaha. I've had that planned for quite some time. Like I said, I booked hotel rooms back in the fall and got those tickets a few months ago. So I've been planning to go anyway, but I knew we wouldn't have time to chat after supers. And so we recorded this after the win at regionals in Atlanta last week. We did talk about supers and who we thought was going to come out and who we thought was going to end up in Omaha. I got some thoughts from Travis that I wanted to share. after our win at Supers, and this was his quote. He said, "I'm not sure I've ever seen Oklahoma baseball play like they've played the last 4 games. It's absolute domination." So again, shout out to my guy Travis for coming on to record. I'll be cheering loud for him in Omaha this weekend. And again, if you don't know Travis's name, he's been a radio host on KREF for the last 5 years with our guy Tyler McComas. I had him on the podcast last spring as well. Travis also serves as co-host on the OUInsider and the JP and Travis show that are both on YouTube. He's also the president of the OU Club in Tulsa. So if you are a Tulsa Sooner and you want to get involved in the OU Club, give my guy Travis a shout. Travis has been a fan of the Sooners since he was in middle school before he attended the university. His favorite Sooner memory is watching Oklahoma beat the brakes off of Nick Saban in the Sugar Bowl with his dad and best friend. So again, you can find Travis on Instagram and Twitter/X at Travis Skoll. I will link that in the show notes. And of course, I will be tagging him in all the things on social media this week. You can also go to his podcast channel on YouTube. It's at OUInsider. I will link that in the show notes as well. So I hope that you'll go give my guy Travis a follow. Without further ado, on to my conversation with my guy Travis Davidson. And cheer like a champion this weekend. Support our baseball boys. And I will see you next Wednesday where we talk sports. I had to wear my shirt today because...
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think there's any better word to describe what we saw this weekend other than chaos.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The good kind. I like it.
Absolutely. And honestly, the whole season, and that's obviously what we're here to talk about. I think we all started out the season pretty high, a great start to the season. And then it was just kind of been a roller coaster ever since. And now here we are back up on a pretty good high going into Supers. Let's talk a little bit about this season and just kind of your thoughts and things that stand out to you.
Yeah, you talk about highs and lows. At the start of the season, the team ERA was extremely low. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, so is the team batting average. Well, you get about halfway through the season, and both numbers started rising. So you hope that one stays low, the other one goes high in this super regional against Kansas. But yeah, it was interesting. Obviously, through the first few weeks of the season, Oklahoma looked dominant, right? They made it all the way up to number 8 in the rankings. A lot of people, as SEC play started, said, can this team make it through the SEC schedule? It's an absolute gauntlet. And it was. When you win series against A&M and at LSU, you really start to feel good. But Oklahoma lost their last 4 series of the year. I think at one point we lost 8 out of our last 10 games of the regular season. And then you lose to LSU and Hoover. And Oklahoma fans rightfully had their doubts going into the postseason. But luckily, none of those doubts crept into the Oklahoma locker room. So they were able to obviously get the win over the Citadel. And then they lose a decent margin the first time against Georgia Tech. And a lot of people are thinking, okay, the most likely scenario is win-loss with 2 losses to Georgia Tech, who a lot of people think is the best team in the country. Well, the last time people thought Georgia Tech was the best team in the country may have been in 1994 when Oklahoma beat them in the national championship. So with that, they persevered. Skip always says 1 pitch at a time, but a lot of coaches say that, right? But I really feel like he gets his team to buy into that 1 pitch at a time. Just go compete. He talks about, hey, if you throw your pitches where you want to, people are going to hit the ball. They're trying to hit the ball too. If they hit it a country mile, it is what it is. Yeah. Just go throw strikes, go throw it where you want to throw it. So, I mean, the ups and downs of the season, obviously the spring wore heavy on people, but what came out of it was a regional win in Atlanta against the hottest team in the country in their home park. Yeah. With 2 comeback wins as well. Keep in mind, Oklahoma was down. Yeah. Yep. Oklahoma was down 8-2. Scored 13 runs unanswered against them to force a game 7. And in game 7, they got down 7-3 with only 9 outs to go. And they score 5 unanswered, including the Dayton Talkie walk-off. And the rest is history. For sure. Well, and I'm not going to lie. I was kind of in that camp with a lot of fans that I didn't know if we were going to come out of this regional, especially playing at Georgia Tech and just knowing how good that they are and being that number 2 seed. I had my doubts. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to act like I didn't. And especially after that first loss to them,
But then here we come back out on Sunday night, and the whole weekend was plagued with weather and all sorts of things. And it was just honestly a roller coaster in and of itself. And then back to the Monday game, I just thought, I can't believe we forced this game 7. Like, that's just incredible in and of itself. And so I was more than happy that we were going to come out having forced a game 7. And then poor Dayton Talkie takes a hit where no man wants to be hit in that foul ball. And then just bounces back from it, and he's the hero of the game. And it's just crazy to think, not even just what he went through that game, but just the team. And like you said, coming from behind both games against Georgia Tech when we won, it's just crazy. And I think those guys, like you said, they've really bought into that one pitch at a time mantra, because there's no other way to explain it. That and a little Sooner magic, of course, for sure.
Of course. Yeah, I think when you talk about, you're happy to force a game 7, right? Like Oklahoma very easily could have, hey, look, we scored 13 runs unanswered, came back from 8-2, and that's the bow on our season. Nobody expected us to beat this team, and they could have very easily just hung their hat on that and said, hey, you know what? We got a big win, a dramatic win, but we'll kind of let off the brake a little bit, especially when they got down late against Georgia Tech with an error, with a couple of back-to-back home runs from Georgia Tech, and they're known for being so potent on offense. The best 2-strike hitting, best 2-out hitting team in the country. Mm-hmm. So they had every reason to look at those last 9 outs in the 7th inning and say, you know what, we battled back yesterday, and that one was one for the books. Today just might not be our day. We're making errors. We're giving up home runs. We're doing this, that, and the other. And we've been ice cold since the first inning when we got off to a 3-0 start. Mm-hmm. So we're hitting the ball directly to what was it? The shortstop, the little liner right there, mm-hmm. that's stranded 2 on base when that would have been the run. Like, it's just there are a lot of times they could have turned around and said, look,
absolutely,
today's not our day. This weekend's not our weekend. We came and we had the big comeback that we'll always remember, but this is the end of this season. And they just didn't. They continued to lock in both on the mound, especially late inning. I mean, I believe Jackson went 2 2/3 maybe, and didn't give up a hit.
Yes,
walked one, but anyways, an incredible showing on the mound late, especially in those scenarios when you go 7 games. You got to see the difference in the trust of the bullpen, right? Because you get Jackson Cleveland out there if you're Oklahoma and you feel good about it. He's pitching well. And then, Georgia Tech has to go back to their Friday starter.
Yeah.
They had run out of trust. They brought in their normal guy that, was, I believe, second in the ACC in saves. Patel, they brought him in early, and he gave them a lot of good work. But you use your closer that early in hopes that he can go deep. Yes. Well, he can't late. And then you bring in McKee, who, I mean, he's a Friday starter. Like, you don't bring those guys in relief situations. Yep. He clearly didn't have it going, and Oklahoma was the beneficiary of that.
Thank goodness. Well, and, again, I'm not going to act like I completely follow college baseball like I do other sports by any means, but I did watch and follow some other regionals this weekend. And of course, UCLA was the #1 seed, and they ended up getting beat at home, knocked out of their own regional. And that was just mind blowing to me. And so I think even just knowing that, and I'm sure the guys probably hear those things and follow a little bit, whether they intend to or not. So maybe that gave them some kind of hope to think, hey, this has happened somewhere else. Like, maybe we can pull this off too, especially after the luck kind of turned a little bit in that game late yesterday. So, it was a crazy weekend for regionals. I want to say there were 4 ranked teams that lost out of regionals, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean, but you just never know what's going to happen. Obviously, we've seen it in softball the last few weeks. And so diamond sports are fun for sure. And I'm thankful that they're not over yet, because like I said, I was preparing to write the obituary on the season after this weekend. And I'm so glad that we're not, because I think our team has some gas left in the tank, and we're going to need every drop of it in Lawrence, Kansas for sure.
Yeah. And of course, you look at that UCLA loss, but a lot of people don't respect Big Ten baseball, right? So they're like, we saw that with USC throughout the year, right? It's Big Ten, we're about to see it with Texas and Oregon, but it's like, Nobody respects the UCLA's of the world anymore. But the ACC, on the other hand, gets tremendous respect still because the ACC's got a lot of really good teams and a lot of good baseball powerhouses.
Yes.
So with that, Georgia Tech, again, one of the best programs in the country all year.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting going to Lawrence because I think Kansas gains a bit of confidence, not only just making it out of their regional, now they're hosting because obviously we took out the 2 seeds, so they get to host the Supers.
Yes.
But also, they had an extremely talented SEC team there, and they beat them, Arkansas. Arkansas is very talented.
Very good
they spend a lot of money on their team. They spend a lot of money on their coach. They spend a lot of money on their facilities. They get great support. But I think Kansas having that series and beating an SEC team already gives them added confidence hosting Oklahoma in a super regional.
Absolutely.
Now, if they would have got through a regional that didn't have an SEC team in it, even though basically every one of them did, they might worry about, oh man, we know about the talent on these rosters, everything like that. So Oklahoma's not going to be sneaking up on anybody. But Kansas is only a slight favorite right now. I believe this morning when I looked, it was 2,800 for them to win the national championship, and Oklahoma was plus 3,000 to win the national championship. So they're evenly matched. You'll see if LJ Mercurius, the UNLV transfer that started the year so hot, if he can, get back to his form, keep his velo up. If Xander, his brother, the talented freshman, the fiery freshman, if he can continue to give you good innings out of the bullpen, sometimes in extended innings if you need him, and if Cam Johnson can consistently not get knocked around after walking people. Cam Johnson flatly is going to walk people. But throughout the year, the reason Oklahoma could win his starts is because not often would they turn into runs. He might walk somebody and then he might strike out the next 2. So he's got so much talent. I think he's probably the biggest story of this super regional is what kind of starts do you get out of Cam Johnson? If you can get quality start out of Cam Johnson, you may be punching your ticket to Omaha.
Yeah, that's very true. So I attended a few games this season, and of course, I wish I could have gone to Arkansas because that place has got to be nuts. When we actually went down in February to the Shriners Classic that was at Globe Life, and Arkansas was one of the teams that was there, and those fans are nuts. So I can only imagine how they are at home. But I feel like that weekend, just rewinding back to February, that kicking off the season down there, basically, that was a good test, I think, for OU. And of course, as fans were sitting there watching it, and we come out of that weekend just sweeping through everybody, and we did have a lot of momentum and we felt really good about things. But I think we saw the potential that the team had. And I know it was early in the season and there's been lots of roadblocks ever since. And again, back to Arkansas, for example, we had to go to Fayetteville and play, and that's a hard place to play. And then, we get Tennessee and bring them into Bricktown, and that was a whole other roller coaster of a ride. But I have watched this team play in person several times throughout the season. And again, I think I just have always gone back to their potential and what I've seen them do in person, what I've seen them do even when I'm watching on TV. And I think, okay, I haven't really ever given up on them. But back to what I was saying at the beginning, just, with them facing Georgia Tech, I did have my doubts. But also, you have that hope and that potential that I've seen all season long. And then, of course, we always believe in Sooner Magic because, of course, we saw it yesterday. But I think just all of those things and going throughout the season and the roller coaster that it's been and the talent that we've seen that team play. And I just think that we have to have more of that hope and potential and Sooner Magic as we go into Lawrence. But I think we're going to need every ounce of it because, like you said, Kansas having beaten an SEC team this past weekend, they're going to think they can do it again. And so we're just going to need every ounce of that hope and Sooner Magic and fans. And I saw somebody on Twitter earlier say, I hope that the fans who saved money not going to the Women's College World Series, RIP, hope that they use that money and go to Lawrence. And I really do hope that Sooner fans do get out and do that. I wish that I could go. I cannot. Actually, what's funny is my husband and I have been talking for years. We want to go to Omaha. We've never been. It would just be such a cool experience. And so we just decided last year, we're going to go to Omaha next year. We're just going to do it. So we've been planning this trip to Omaha for a good 9 months or so. Hotels, all the things. I bought tickets a few months ago. And so, fingers crossed, if OU ends up being there, that would just be poetic justice for me as a fan for sure. But yeah, so I would love to go to Lawrence, but I can't. But I hope that people do.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It'll be interesting. Obviously, I think it was Do Rag Dickey who put up, if you save your money,
Yes.
then go up there. Lawrence is a fantastic town. It's one of my favorite college towns. I've been to probably been to Lawrence 12 to 15 times. A lot of times, not even when OU was there. Most of the time, not even when OU was there.
Yeah.
I got a buddy that went to KU, and I went to see him often. Omaha, I've been before. Obviously, I went in 2022, and it's a magical time. I mean, it's my favorite sporting event in the world, considering that it's 2 weeks long.
Yes.
And you get to go in, and you're basically your morning game, and then your afternoon/evening game.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody goes out and, Rocco's or goes out to the team hotel, and then you could go do it all over again the next day. So it's really a baseball fan's dream. I hope that everybody gets to go. And most importantly, I hope that Skip Johnson's boys get to go.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, to quote Toby Rowland yesterday, that call that he had of Dayton Tucky's walk-off was just off the charts. Of course, as always, he knocks it out of the park. But he said the boys from Norman have shocked college baseball, and nothing really encapsulates the weekend like that statement that he made. And so I do hope that the guys make it to Omaha, of course, since I will be there for a few days at the beginning of the series. So I'm really got my fingers crossed, obviously, for that. But regardless, I know I'll have a good time. I'm just looking forward to checking it out and getting to experience some postseason baseball for sure. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about Kansas, because I am not super familiar with Kansas as a team. And so, again, I know that they beat Arkansas in regionals, and that's really almost like the extent of my knowledge of them. I haven't really followed them at all this season. And so, do you have any thoughts on the team as a whole, and kind of like what would be the keys to us beating them in supers this coming weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's different than any Kansas team that Oklahoma kind of has gone up against. When you think of baseball in the Big 12, when Oklahoma was there, it was like, okay, Oklahoma and Texas kind of took turns there for a while. Oklahoma State took turns winning the Big 12, right? Like a lot like softball, right? Like Diamond Sports typically went through Oklahoma, went through Oklahoma State, and went through Texas. Now, Oklahoma State, oddly enough, now that we're gone, they have not taken the mantle.
They have not.
They got knocked out of their regional, and I believe they were in the Tuscaloosa regional.
Yes, they were.
And Alabama will now be facing off against, I believe, St. Joe's. So, anyways, OSU didn't take the mantle. Obviously, not in softball either. Yeah. But Kansas won the Big 12 regular season and the tournament. So they've got elite power throughout the lineup. It's interesting going to play Georgia Tech and then going to play Kansas. Their identity is offense first. They're going to be in the lead multiple different times during this super regional. This isn't going to be a 2 to 3 ball game, anything like that. They've won 6 straight games. They swept both their regional and the Big 12 tournament. So they're playing extremely hot. They've won 6 games in a row. It's all been by offense. So, I mean, their pitching is fine, but they haven't been, again, just like Georgia Tech, they haven't needed to rely on guys to go out there, go 7 innings, put up a 1-run 7-inning stretch. And Georgia Tech was the right team to warm up against, because so many times you got behind at Georgia Tech, you trailed in all 3 games and you won 2 of them. You trailed big. In all 3 games, and you still ended up winning 2 of them. So I think what Oklahoma needs to do is keep that same mentality and say, look, it's not first to 4. It's not first to 6. It's not even first to 8. Yes. It is who has the most runs at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And as Oklahoma wore down Georgia Tech's pitching staff that already wasn't excellent, Oklahoma has an opportunity to wear down Kansas's pitching staff that already isn't excellent. I could see Oklahoma scoring. I think Oklahoma, if they're going to win this series, which I think they will, I think that Oklahoma scores in double digits at least once this weekend, which, again, in super regional time, it's like double-digit scoring. But Kansas, it's going to be a shootout. It simply is. So it's a lot like we just witnessed with Georgia Tech.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that is good to know. Like I said, I don't really have a ton of prior knowledge on Kansas at all. So it's good to know that we kind of got a preview of that, like you said, a warm-up almost with Georgia Tech. So going in, I'm going to have a lot of hope. I know they just announced this morning, it's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday series. So Saturday and Sunday, I believe at 5, and then Monday will be the if necessary game. So I hope it doesn't go to 3 because I get major anxiety when we go to the if necessary game, but sometimes it works out for us. So you just never know. But I'm excited for a good week. I know I kind of glanced over the schedule. Like I said, I don't follow college baseball near as much as I do other sports, but I was just glancing over the top 16 teams and seeing who made it into supers, and I was like, okay, like of these teams, who would stick out? Who do we think would make it to Omaha? And of course, my guess is not very good at all. But do you have any thoughts on who you think is going to come out of some of the other supers and head into Omaha?
Well, SEC teams make up seven
7.
of the supers, but in multiple series,
Yes.
it's both teams in the super are SEC teams. So
Okay.
I'm not so at the maximum amount of SEC teams that could make it would be 5.
Okay.
But I'm looking at, unfortunately, Texas against Oregon. I think Texas punches their ticket. I think Texas is playing extremely good baseball right now. I'm also looking at Georgia. Georgia would be another team, obviously, took care of business in their regional. And they're a team, obviously, Kyle Branch's brother plays for that team.
Yes.
He was in attendance, obviously, in Atlanta at the Georgia Tech game. But if I were to kind of make a short list of teams that I don't want to see in Omaha, it would be Georgia and it would be Texas.
I don't disagree there. Okay. Well, so I want to kind of rewind a tad after closing out our thoughts on supers and heading into Omaha. But let's rewind a little bit because I want to ask you your thoughts on the season. Like, who are some players that stood out to you? If there's any particular games or plays that stuck out to you, just things like that over the season that you think will be memorable through the years to come.
Yeah, I think obviously the number one story is Dayton LaChance exploding onto the scene. So I think through the
Yes.
first 31 or 32 games, he had 0 home runs.
Yes.
Keep in mind, we brought him over from JUCO, and he was a JUCO All-American, and he had 21 home runs a year ago, right? Big power guy, big maple.
Yes.
And anyways, he really didn't have it, and he started pressing throughout the year. And as Oklahoma's offense kind of caught their groove, it really came on the back of him finally finding his groove. So I think, what he had 14 home runs over the last 21 games, something like that. He just changes what you have to do with the lineup so much. And then as Dayton Taki obviously got healthy, he was able to introduce some power to the lineup. Also, Camden Johnson was a guy that was exciting at third base, was good, made incredible plays over the weekend. But, Kyle Branch's defense is going to be something that people talk a lot about, rightfully so.
Yes.
Jackson Willits, he drew the ire of a lot of opposing pitchers for some reason. I don't know what Jackson Willits ever did to these people, but he was the target of a lot of vitriol throughout SEC play. But Dayton LaChance's bat, I think, is the story, especially through the back half of the season. Cord Rager getting it done on the mound. Your Sunday guy still give you a lot of confidence. That's a freshman. So a lot to like there. Desan Harris finding power. I remember last year going to games and Desan, like, you walked up and you're like, that's an absolute athlete. Like, look at this guy. He's an absolute stud athlete. We just got to get him on the base paths. But you looked at the batting average, and I forget what it was last year, but I believe it was below the Mendoza line. Like, there were times where I was like, golly, can we pinch hit for this guy or what's going on? But then, this year, all of a sudden, he's hitting for power. He's getting on the base paths. He had a couple of huge hits during the regional.
Yes.
And that's a guy that, has defended well. He's, like I said, he's got the athleticism. He's so good out there in the outfield that he's a guy that if you just do a side-by-side of his stats from one year to another, I think it says a lot for Oklahoma's player development. A lot of times Oklahoma, you had to replace all 3 starters in the rotation from a year ago, and now you find yourself back in a super regional. It's like a lot of the player development, they talk about like, oh, we're just talking about pitching when it comes to Oklahoma. But you can look at a guy like Desan Harris and say, oh, they develop everybody on the roster.
Yeah, that is a very good point. I have to mention Nick Weslowski. He's a freshman. He had a pretty good outing this weekend as well.
Great one. Yeah, he went deep.
Yes, he did. I was shocked to see him go that deep, but that was awesome because he's young, and I think
so is Catalano. I mean,
gets
us started as well. Oklahoma's got a lot of really exciting freshmen.
We do
on the mound. So shocker. Skip Johnson gets it right again.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. obviously it's always good to see the younger guys going the distance and making a mark so early in their careers, because it gives us a lot of hope for the future. Because like you said, last year we had to replace the entire starting lineup coming into the season. We were able to do that, and I think seeing things like that with Weslowski, Catalano, it just gives us a good hope going forward, knowing, hey, we can fill the shoes, we can move things around, and we can still get it done. So that's always hopeful to see for sure. Well, before I let you go, I want to talk a little bit about the football season coming up, because I know that everybody's kind of shifting gears to get ready for the fall. We're on the countdown. I believe it's 95 days till kickoff when we're recording this. So, what are your thoughts going into the season? I know we've had a pretty good spring and a lot to look forward to. So, tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think as simple as it gets is Brent Venables, once he gets his hands on the defense, this is over his career. This is a 20-year sample size, right? It's when he gets his hands on the defense, it's good and it stays good until his hands are no longer on the defense. So
Yes.
I think with Oklahoma, you know that you've kind of reached that floor that the defense will be. I think the defense
Yes.
going to be a top 15 unit in the country, probably top 10 maybe. If he can get it to where he was at Clemson, where you're consistently top 3, top 4, that's great, but this isn't an ACC schedule. So
Yeah.
odds are that that won't be happening. But he could have it as a top 10 unit annually. I have no doubts there. So it turns to the offensive side of the ball. I maintain, and I've been consistent on this, that Oklahoma is going to be better in 2026 in every position group than they were in 2025. When you break it down, obviously, John Mateer, getting him back healthy,
Yes.
incredibly important. A lot of people think just the thumb, but also his knee.
Yes.
That getting another year older, another year more mature, another
Yes.
year breaking down his own film and seeing what he
Yes.
needs to improve on. Arbuckle getting a year older. I mean, obviously, young guy himself,
Yeah.
getting older, getting more experience, learning from his mistakes, much like Brent Venables did when he was first a head coach. Right? It's
Right.
like you've
Yes.
got to find ways you can improve by watching your own tape.
For
So,
sure.
but I think quarterback play, I think running back play is going to be better this year. I think Dylan
Yes.
McCullough simply
Yes.
has a better resume than DeMarco Murray does as a coach. So I think you've got two exciting freshmen coming in that can make an instant impact. I think you return two exciting running backs in both Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock, and then Lloyd
Yes.
Avant from Colorado State. I really like what you've got there in the kind of the under the radar transfer. You go to offensive line, you return 4 starters. 3 of them were freshmen. So
Yes.
you've got a generational one in Michael Fasusi.
Yes.
You're very good at right guard with, another former top 10 offensive lineman in Ryan Foje. And then you've got Eddie Pierre-Louis at left guard. A lot of people think that Jake Michaela is going to be a Remington watch list guy, finalist guy at center. And then you bring Arkansas's starting right tackle over to be your starting right tackle. So with that, I think you get better there. Now, as long as you stay healthy. At wide receiver, I think you bring in some exciting freshmen. You get guys like Manny Choice and Elijah Thomas, another year older, but then you go get Trell Harris, who was an all ACC, type receiver a year ago, and then Parker Livingston, who really we didn't have one of those on the roster. We didn't have a big, tall guy that could run deep like that. So
Yes.
you've got some opportunities. You obviously return all SEC Isaiah Satania, and then at the tight end position, I'm not even sure I need to mention it. You upgrade the coach, you upgrade the players. Even Jaron Kanik said, hey, look, tight ends are the most improved position group on the team. So,
Love it.
what you've got in Hayden Hansen and Rocky Beers and Jack Van Dorselaer, you've really got a more complete tight end room. And Hayden Hansen even said when he got to campus, he said, I'm here to fix the run game. So I think it's going to, I think the entire offense, I think every position group is going to be better. Now, just because the team's better does not mean the record is going to be better. Does a better team guarantee that Oklahoma wins 10 games like they did last year? Of course not. Now, I think, looking at the schedule, you go to Michigan, to Georgia, and have Texas all in the first 5 games.
Oh gosh.
That's tough. That's tough. So I know some questions have been brought up in the last couple of days on Michigan's quarterback situation, but early in the year with a new head coach, you're probably catching Michigan at the right time.
That's what I'm
But
thinking.
that at Georgia and Texas in the Cotton Bowl, if you can split those two, you're in the catbird seat when it comes to the SEC.
Absolutely.
So the schedule's tough. There's a reason that Oklahoma has been a 7.5 win team in Vegas all year.
Yeah.
So odds have shifted a little bit. I believe they got to minus 110 Then they were at minus 150. I believe they were minus 180 last I checked. So people are betting that up.
Awesome.
For those of you that maybe don't speak gambling, so like if somebody's like minus 110, it means you need to bet $110 to win 100. So if somebody's minus 150, then you need to bet 150 to win 100, minus 180, and so forth and so. But with that being said, as that number continues to be further negative, it means more people are betting on the Sooners to win more than 7.5 games. So it looks like the public's coming around on the Sooners. It looks like everything's trending in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. I'm wondering if we have turnover luck and kicking luck like we did last year.
Yes,
because not only did Tate Sandell obviously win the Groza, but Oklahoma scored touchdowns defensively in both the Tennessee win and the Alabama win.
Yes.
So you're going to need to come up with some of that luck and create those turnovers again if you want to repeat a trip to the college football playoff.
Absolutely. And of course, we want to do that because I loved hosting the CFP. And I know the game itself did not turn out the way that we wanted it to, but the atmosphere and the ability for teams to be able to host with the new format, I think is awesome. And so going forward, I'm very much looking forward to that. And fingers crossed, hoping we pull that off for sure. But I have had this Michigan game on my calendar for I feel like a decade, maybe. I mean, since it was announced, I remember telling my husband then, I was like, we are going to Ann Arbor because when do you get an opportunity to go and see a place like that? So we are going to Michigan and I am beyond excited. And so obviously hoping to get a win there. But like you said, we'll come home from that. We have a fairly easy home game there the next weekend. And then we go to Georgia. Yeah. And then I think do we have a bye week before Texas?
Okay. Yep. The third, I believe, the weekend of the second and third is October 2nd and 3rd is bye week. Yeah.
Well, we are going to be thankful for that bye week for sure.
Yeah.
Because Georgia is going to be a rough road game for sure. And like you said, I have kind of been prepping myself, telling myself, okay, if we can just win one between Georgia and Texas, I will feel pretty good. I will say, I think at this point, I would rather lose to Georgia on the road than to lose again at the Cotton Bowl. Well, for one thing, I feel like we're way overdue for a Cotton Bowl win. And two, I think a Parker Livingston, of course, I mean, just that whole situation and all that drama. But I just feel like, okay, it would make more sense for us, I feel like at this point anyway, to go into Athens and get beat, as long as it's not like a drilling. Hopefully we show up and play. As long as we're not drilled into the ground, to take a loss in Athens, I feel like that would look better, quality loss, I guess.
Yeah, that's the SEC in you right there.
Yeah, I would rather have that loss than a loss in the Cotton Bowl. I could be wrong. I might change my mind, but I kind of feel like that's what I'm thinking as of now. And I'm just telling myself that if we can just win one of them, I will be okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if Oklahoma is what 4-1 after Texas with their only loss at Georgia, I think they're still at that point. They're still probably squarely in the top 10. They'd have two massive ranked wins, and yeah, I think I'm never going to sign Oklahoma up for a loss, but I think most Oklahoma fans would and should take a 4-1 deal if it's on the table right now.
Absolutely. I will take it. And of course, we could have a whole lot of Sooner magic, and a lot can happen between now and then. You never know what's going to happen injury-wise for Georgia or anything can happen. So,
yeah,
we could get lucky and go in and really come out with a win. So you just never know. But yeah, fingers crossed. Like you said, if we can come out of Texas at 4-1, I'll be more than happy. And then I think pretty much going forward, I know after Texas, we have Kentucky, Ole Miss, somewhere in there. I don't have the whole schedule memorized. I think I've got it in my head up through November. And then
we play a lot of new coaches, right? Kentucky has a new coach. Florida has a new coach. Ole Miss theoretically has a new coach because Lane's gone.
Very
so you've got a lot of new, and Brent Venables has performed well against new head coaches. So we'll see. First time quarterbacks and new head coaches typically Brent can handle, but there's a lot of talent on those teams.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, before I let you go, any closing thoughts on anything that you want to share before we let it off?
No, if anybody watching can get up to Kansas, go up there. The campus is beautiful, and
Yes.
Skip Johnson and co. They deserve your love.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they do. And I know a lot of people, there's been people saying, oh, well, Skip, his time is up and he's run the course and all these things. But I just really like the guy. I have a lot of respect for him. And clearly the guys do. They have a lot of belief in him and his mantras with the program. So they deserve all the support. I'm excited for all the stadium upgrades that baseball is getting. I know
Yeah.
there's been a lot of things long time coming. And so I really hope the program gets all they deserve and more. I hope the fans get out and support them, and I hope they come out of Lawrence with a win.
Amen.